The massive Zendari warship drifted slowly toward Orbital Repair Station Delta 7, its once gleaming hull now scarred and damaged. One of its 4 engine arrays was completely dark, and the ship listed slightly to port as it approached the human station. Commander Olivia Wright watched from the main observation deck, her experienced eyes taking in every detail of the damaged vessel. "That's the biggest ship I've seen this month," she said to no one in particular. The observation deck was quiet, today with only a few staff members monitoring the screens. Chief Engineer Peter Collins stood beside her, his gray eyes narrowing as he assessed the damage. "They've taken quite a beating. Look at that hull breach near the aft section." Olivia nodded. At 42, she had spent nearly half her life running repair operations in space, but the arrival of alien ships still filled her with a sense of wonder. Delta 7 had been designed primarily to serve as human vessels, but in the 3 years since first contact, more and more alien crafts had found their way to her station. "They're hailing us," said Communications Officer Alan Murphy from his console. The young man's fingers danced across the control panel as he opened the channel. Audio only, no visual feed. A series of clicks and whistles filled the room before the station's translation system kicked in. "Human Repair Station Delta 7, this is First Commander Zex of the Zendari vessel Dominant Tide. We request emergency docking and repair services." Olivia stepped forward. "This is Commander Wright of Delta 7. We see you're in rough shape, Dominant Tide. What happened out there?" There was a pause before the reply came. "We encountered difficulties at the edge of the Carina Nebula. Our ship sustained significant damage. We have visited 3 other repair facilities across 2 systems. None could accommodate our needs. We were directed to your station specifically." Peter raised an eyebrow at Olivia. The Zendari were known for their advanced technology and typically handled their own repairs at their elaborate orbital facilities. "And why us specifically?" Olivia asked, her curiosity piqued. "We were told that humans fix things differently," the Zendari commander replied. "We require unconventional solutions. Our primary power coupling is beyond our ability to repair with standard methods." Olivia glanced at Peter, who gave a small nod. "We'll help if we can, Dominant Tide. Transmitting docking instructions now. Follow our guidance beams into Bay 4. Acknowledged, Delta 7, we are grateful." Alan closed the channel and turned to Olivia. "That's strange. The Zendari usually keep to themselves. I've never heard of them seeking repairs from humans before." "Times are changing," Olivia replied. "Let's see what we're dealing with. Peter, assemble your best team. I want Diane Rodriguez leading this one." Peter grinned. "Good choice. If anyone can impress the Zendari, it's Diane." 30 minutes later, Olivia stood in the massive airlock connecting to Bay 4. Beside her, Diane Rodriguez checked her tablet one last time, reviewing the limited data they had on Zendari ship designs. At 36, Diane had earned a reputation as the station's miracle worker, able to fix almost anything with whatever materials were at hand. "Remember, the Zendari are formal," Olivia warned her team. "They value precision and protocol. And apparently they now value our help," Diane replied with a slight smile. "Don't worry, Commander, we'll be on our best behavior." The airlock cycled, and the doors slid open to reveal 3 tall, slender aliens waiting on the other side. The Zendari stood nearly 7 feet tall, their blue-gray skin shimmering slightly under the bay lights. Their forearms were neatly folded across their chests in a formal greeting posture. The one in the center stepped forward, the silver markings on its uniform indicating high rank. "I am First Commander Zex. Thank you for accepting our request." Olivia stepped forward as well. "Commander Wright, welcome to Delta 7. This is our senior repair specialist, Diane Rodriguez, and her team." Zex bowed slightly, then gestured to the 2 Zendari behind him. "My chief engineer, Zelthos, and medical officer, Frix. Our ship carries a crew of 322. 41 sustained injuries during the incident." "Do you need medical assistance?" Olivia asked, concerned. "Our medical needs are being addressed internally," Zex replied. "It is the ship that requires your attention most urgently." Diane stepped forward. "We'll need to see the damaged systems. How severe is the power coupling failure? Zelthos, the engineer, moved forward. Unlike the commander, he seemed less comfortable with humans. The primary zero-point energy manifold has suffered a catastrophic alignment failure. The quantum field stabilizers are operating at 17% efficiency, and the power distribution network has developed microfractures throughout the central hub. Diane whistled softly. That sounds serious, but not unfixable. Zelthos's 4 eyes blinked, in sequence a sign of surprise in Zendari body language. The damage is beyond standard repair parameters. By our calculations, a complete replacement is required. The parts would take 47 days to arrive from our homeworld. Let us take a look before we decide anything, Diane said with a confident smile. Humans have a knack for working around standard parameters. As they walked through the massive Zendari ship, Olivia noticed the stark difference between human and Zendari design philosophy, where human ships tended to be practical and sometimes even cluttered, with access panels and manual overrides everywhere. The Zendari vessel was a marvel of minimalist design. Every surface was smooth and flowing, with systems hidden behind seamless panels. The damage became more apparent as they approached the engine room. Scorch marks lined the corridors, and repair drones worked tirelessly to seal hull breaches and replace damaged components. "What exactly hit you out there?" Peter asked, examining a particularly deep gouge in the wall. Zex and Zelthos exchanged looks before the commander answered. "We encountered an unknown phenomenon in the nebula. It emitted energy signatures we have never recorded before. Our shields were ineffective." Something in his tone made Olivia suspect there was more to the story, but she didn't press the issue. Right now, her priority was helping them repair their ship. The engine room was enormous, a cathedral-like space dominated by the pulsing blue light of the zero-point energy core. Even damaged, it was an impressive sight. Diane immediately moved toward the main control console, her experienced eyes taking in the damage. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to the interface. Zelthos hesitated, then nodded. "The system is partially locked down for safety. I will authorize temporary access." As Diane began to examine the readings, her expression grew increasingly intrigued. "This is fascinating. Your power coupling design is elegant, but I can see why it failed under stress. The alignment is too perfect." "Too perfect?" Zelthos repeated, confused. Diane nodded. "Sometimes a little imperfection gives a system the flexibility it needs to absorb unexpected stresses." She turned to her team. "Kyle, run a full diagnostic on the quantum field. Ben, check those microfractures in the distribution hub." As the human team spread out and began their work, Olivia noticed the Zendari watching with a mixture of concern and curiosity. They clearly weren't used to the human approach to repairs, hands-on, intuitive, and sometimes seemingly chaotic. "Commander Zex," Olivia said quietly, "I assure you my team is the best. They may not follow the procedures you're used to, but they get results." Zex studied her face carefully. "We were told that humans have a unique approach to solving problems. That is why we came here despite the distance. Our ship is not just damaged, Commander Wright. It is changed. The phenomenon we encountered altered some of our systems in ways we do not fully understand." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. "Changed how?" "That," said Zex, looking back at the humans already deep into their work, "is what we hope you can tell us." Diane Rodriguez stood in front of the damaged power coupling, her hands on her hips as she studied the complex system. The Zendari engineer, Zelthos, hovered nearby, all 4 of his arms twitching with obvious anxiety. His blue-gray skin had taken on a paler shade since they had opened the main access panel to the ship's power core. "This is definitely not standard damage," Diane said, pointing to the strange, almost organic patterns that had formed across the crystalline structure of the power coupling. The normal geometric patterns had been warped and reformed into flowing, spiral designs that somehow still functioned, though barely. "We cannot explain these alterations," Zelthos admitted. "Our sensors indicate the molecular structure has been rearranged at the quantum level. By all our understanding, the system should not function at all, yet it maintains 17% efficiency." Diane reached out toward the coupling but stopped just short of touching it. May I? Zelthos's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in sequence. I must warn you that direct contact is not advised. The energy field is unstable. With a slight smile, Diane pulled a simple rubber glove from her pocket and slipped it on. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. She carefully placed her gloved hand on the coupling and closed her eyes, feeling the subtle vibrations. After a moment, she nodded to herself and stepped back. Kyle, she called to her apprentice, get me that roll of special adhesive tape from my locker, 3 copper bypass conduits, and one of those old power converters we salvaged from the mining freighter last month. Zelthos's facial tentacles curled in horror. You intend to repair a Class 7 zero-point energy manifold with adhesive tape and salvaged parts? And a little know-how, Diane added with a wink. Trust me, we'll have you flying again by tomorrow morning. Kyle Bennett, a young man with bright eyes and quick movements, hurried off to gather the requested items while Diane turned to her tablet and began making rough sketches of a repair plan. Commander, Zelthos said, turning to Zex, who had been watching silently from the doorway. I must object to this approach. These methods are not in any approved Zendari repair protocol. Commander Zex stepped forward, his tall frame casting a shadow across the room. And yet our approved protocols have failed us, Chief Engineer. We came to the humans because they are known for finding solutions where others see only problems. He turned to Diane. Please proceed, Specialist Rodriguez. We are placing our trust in your methods. From the observation room above the repair bay, Captain Vincent Douglas of the Galactic Diplomatic Corps watched with great interest. He had not planned to be at Delta 7 today. His ship had docked for routine maintenance, but the arrival of a Zendari warship seeking human help was too significant to ignore. They're not just fixing it, he murmured to his aide, Susan Powell. Look at how they're approaching the problem. They're treating the ship as if it were alive. Susan nodded, her eyes tracking the movements of the human repair team as they worked. The Zendari build their ships to precise mathematical formulas. Every component has a specific function and position. But the humans see possibilities. Vincent finished for her. This could be a diplomatic breakthrough. The Zendari have kept most other species at arm's length since they joined the Galactic Council. Below, the repair bay had turned into a hive of activity. Kyle had returned with the requested items and several other team members had joined Diane. They worked with a seemingly chaotic energy that clearly confused the Zendari observers. Some team members crawled inside access tunnels while others reconfigured equipment that had nothing to do with ships. What is that human doing? Zelthos asked, pointing to a woman who was modifying what appeared to be a kitchen appliance. That's Becky, Diane explained without looking up from her work. She's creating a resonance dampener using parts from an old food processor. Sometimes the answers come from unexpected places. Commander Olivia Wright joined Captain Vincent in the observation room, bringing with her a cup of coffee. Enjoying the show, Captain? Vincent smiled. Very much so. I've filed 3 reports to the Diplomatic Corps already. This repair operation could open new channels with the Zendari. If we succeed, Olivia cautioned. Diane is brilliant, but this damage is unlike anything we've seen before. Below them, Diane had begun applying the special adhesive tape to sections of the power coupling where the strange, spiral patterns were most concentrated. The tape, a human invention that contained microscopic robots programmed to strengthen molecular bonds, glowed faintly as it made contact with the alien technology. The patterns remind me of something, Diane said to Kyle as they worked. Like ripples in water or brain tissue, Kyle supplied. Neural pathways. Diane's eyes widened. That's it. She turned to Zelthos. Your ship encountered something that thinks, something alive, and it tried to communicate with your ship by rewriting its systems into patterns it understood. Zelthos took a step back, clearly disturbed by the idea. That is impossible. The void between stars cannot support life. Maybe not life as you understand it, Diane replied. But something out there rewrote parts of your ship to function more like a brain than a machine. That's why your repairs failed. You were trying to rebuild a machine, but parts of it aren't a machine anymore. Commander Zex moved closer, his interest clearly piqued. If what you say is true, then our ship has been infected? Not infected, Diane corrected. Changed. Enhanced, maybe. These new patterns actually have elegant properties. They're less efficient in some ways, but more adaptable. They can heal. Ships do not heal, Zelthos stated flatly. Yours might now, Diane said. She pressed a final piece of tape into place and gestured to Kyle, who connected the salvaged power converter to the modified system. The key is to work with the new patterns, not against them. This bypass will channel energy the way the new patterns want it to flow, not the way the original design demanded. The entire repair team stepped back as Diane activated the modified power coupling. For a moment nothing happened, then slowly the blue glow of energy began to intensify. The strange spiral patterns in the coupling lit up one by one, creating a cascading effect through the system. Power levels at 23%, Kyle reported, watching his tablet. 25, 30, holding steady at 32%. Efficiency. A murmur of excitement ran through the human team. Zelthos stepped forward, checking his own readings with all 4 arms operating separate devices. This is unexpected, he admitted. You have achieved a significant improvement without replacing any major components. We're not done yet, Diane said with a confident smile. By tomorrow, we'll have you back to at least 80%. The ship needs time to adapt to our modifications. Adapt? Zelthos repeated, his vocal translator unable to hide his confusion. Commander Zex placed a hand on his engineer's shoulder. I believe what Specialist Rodriguez means is that we need to think differently about our ship now. It has been changed by its encounter in the nebula, and we must change with it. In the observation room, Captain Vincent nodded approvingly. The Zendari commander gets it. That's good. Olivia sipped her coffee. Let's hope the rest of their species is as open-minded. This could be the beginning of something important. Or dangerous, Vincent added quietly. Whatever changed their ship is still out there, and now we know it can reach out and touch passing vessels. Below them, Diane and her team continued their unorthodox repairs, blending human ingenuity with alien technology and something entirely new, a ship that was becoming more than the sum of its parts. And somewhere in the darkness of space, in the swirling gases of the Carina Nebula, something was waiting to make contact again. 3 months passed quickly after the successful repair of the Zendari warship Dominant Tide. Word spread across the galaxy about what the humans had accomplished. Ships from a dozen different alien species now lined up for repairs at Orbital. Repair Station Delta 7, some traveling great distances to reach the human station, rather than visiting repair facilities run by their own kind. Station Director Gregory Patel sat at his desk, reviewing the latest request list with growing concern. His office window offered a view of Earth below, and the expanded repair docks that now stretched out in all directions. We're going to need more staff and expanded facilities, he said to Security Chief Michelle Gomez, who stood nearby reviewing security protocols on her tablet. The Ralga Collective is sending an entire battle group for maintenance next month. Michelle nodded, her dark hair falling across her face as she looked up from her tablet. And did you see the message from the Draxian traders? They're offering triple the standard rate if we can squeeze them in before the galactic shipping season peaks. What's happening here? Gregory asked, more to himself than to Michelle. He stood up and walked to the window, gazing out at the busy repair bays. We don't have better technology than most of these species. Our station is practically ancient compared to the Vossian repair rings. Michelle smiled, setting down her tablet and joining him at the window. It's not about the technology, sir. It's about the approach. These aliens, they build everything to precise specifications and replace anything that breaks. She picked up a coffee mug from his desk, one with a handle that had clearly been broken and glued back on, and held it up. We humans, we fix things. We improvise. We see possibilities where they see only failure. Gregory looked at the mug and chuckled. My daughter made that for me when she was 6. Couldn't bear to throw it away when it broke. Exactly, Michelle said. That's what makes us different. Far away in Zendari space, the repaired warship Dominant Tide led a patrol group through a routine security sweep. First Commander Zex stood on the bridge, watching as his ship easily outpaced its sister vessels. The modified power coupling that the humans had repaired was now delivering 23% more efficiency than the original Zendari design. Send the performance data to Central Command, Zex ordered his communications officer. Include the full report on the human repair methods. His second-in-command, Officer Vryn, approached with a concerned expression. Sir, Central Command has sent 3 requests asking us to return to the homeworld for a complete system replacement. They are uncomfortable with the modifications. Zex's 4 eyes narrowed slightly. And I have declined those requests 3 times. The ship performs better now than it did when it was new. The humans did not simply repair our vessel, they improved it. But the changes do not follow Zendari design principles, Vryn pointed out. The patterns are organic, unpredictable, yet highly effective, Zex replied. Perhaps our principles need to evolve. Back at Delta 7, Diane Rodriguez had been promoted to lead repair specialist after her success with the Zendari ship. She now had a team of 50 engineers working under her, and her repair bay had been expanded to accommodate larger vessels. Today, she faced a new challenge. A Tralaxian science vessel had arrived with damage to its central navigation system, a bioneural network that the Tralaxians had adapted from their own brain structures. We've never worked on Tralaxian bioneural systems before, Kyle said as they approached the sleek silver ship. Their technology is part organic. It actually grows rather than being built. Diane nodded, studying the schematics on her tablet. That's what makes this interesting. Remember what we learned from the Zendari ship? About working with new patterns instead of against them? I think the same principle applies here. The Tralaxian captain, a tall insect-like being named Zithvar, greeted them at the airlock. Unlike the Zendari, the Tralaxians moved with quick, jerky motions and spoke rapidly. Your reputation precedes you, Specialist Rodriguez, Zithvar said, mandibles clicking between words. 3 of our own repair stations failed to restore our navigation system. The neural pathways have degraded beyond their ability to regenerate. I'll need to see the damage firsthand, Diane replied. Bioneural systems have their own logic. Inside the Tralaxian ship, Diane and Kyle were led to a chamber filled with what looked like glowing blue vines spreading across the walls and ceiling. In the center was a spherical structure where many of the vines connected. Several sections of the vines had turned a dull gray color and no longer pulsed with light. This is your navigation system, Kyle asked, clearly fascinated. Yes, Zithvar confirmed. The neural vines process spatial information and connect to our sensors. The dead sections can no longer transmit data, which has reduced our navigation capabilities by 60%. Diane moved closer to examine the gray vines. These aren't completely dead, she said after a moment. They're dormant. The pathways are still intact, but they're not receiving enough of whatever energy or nutrient they need. She turned to Kyle. Remember that fertilizer formula we developed for the hydroponics bay last year? The one with the modified proteins. Get me a sample of that, and I need some of the conductive gel from the medical bay. Kyle hurried off while Diane continued. Her examination, she carefully touched one of the gray vines, feeling its texture. These are similar to the patterns we saw in the Zendari power coupling, but much more advanced. Natural rather than artificial. Zithvar watched her with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Our best bioengineers could not revive the tissue. What makes you think you can? Sometimes fresh eyes see things differently, Diane replied. Your engineers are trying to treat this as Tralaxian tissue, but it's not. It's a hybrid. Partly biological, partly technological. It needs a hybrid solution. When Kyle returned with the supplies, Diane mixed them together in a small container, adding a few drops of a catalyst from her own kit. The resulting gel glowed slightly as she stirred it. This should provide both the nutrients and the electrical conductivity the neural vines need to reactivate, she explained. I'm going to apply it to the junction points where the healthy vines meet the dormant ones. With careful precision, Diane began applying small dabs of the gel to the vine junctions. At first, nothing happened. Then, gradually, a faint pulse of light began to travel through one of the gray sections. Then another, and another. The neural pathways are responding, Zithvar exclaimed, mandibles clicking rapidly in excitement. The signal is propagating through the dormant sections. Kyle checked his readings. Navigation function is returning. 20%. 30%, holding at 42% function. It's a start, Diane said with satisfaction. The gel will continue to work, and the healthy sections will gradually revive the dormant ones. Give it 48 hours, and you should see at least 70% function restored. Word of this success quickly spread throughout the station. By the end of the week, 3 more Trilaxian vessels had arrived, seeking similar repairs. Soon after, ships from other species with bio-neural technology began to appear as well. Commander Olivia Wright met with Captain Vincent Douglas in the station's observation lounge, watching as the repair bays filled with an ever more diverse collection of vessels. The Galactic Council has taken notice, Vincent told her, sipping his tea. They're sending an official delegation next month to observe your repair operations. Olivia raised an eyebrow. That's unusual. The Council rarely involves itself in commercial matters. This has become more than commercial, Vincent replied. What your team is doing here is reshaping interspecies relations. The Zendari are actually sharing technical data with the Trilaxians now, something unheard of before, and it all traces back to your repair methods. Diane deserves the credit, Olivia said. She sees connections that others miss. Vincent nodded. That's the human advantage. You don't just fix things. You improve them. You adapt. The Council wants to understand how this approach might benefit the entire galactic community. As they talked in the depths of space, the repaired Zendari warship Dominant Tide approached the edge of the Carina Nebula once again. This time, Commander Zex was ready for what they might find there. And deep within the ship's systems, the strange spiral patterns continued to grow and evolve, creating something new, a ship that was learning. The Meldari hive ship arrived without warning. Its massive form appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, dwarfing even the largest human vessels. The organic-mechanical hybrid ship moved slowly, clearly struggling, as it approached Orbital Repair Station Delta 7. "What is that thing?" asked Alan Murphy from his communication station. No one on the command deck had ever seen anything like it. Commander Olivia Wright studied the readings on the main screen. The ship was at least 3 times larger than any vessel that had previously docked at their station. Its hull seemed to pulse slightly, as if breathing. "Open a channel," she ordered. After several attempts, a weak signal came through. The screen showed a humanoid figure with pale, translucent skin that revealed a network of glowing veins beneath. Its eyes were large, completely black, and seemed to look in all directions at once. "This is the Meldari hive ship Unity," the alien said, its voice oddly musical. "We request emergency assistance. Our ship body is failing. This is Commander Wright of Repair Station Delta 7. We'll do what we can to help. What's the nature of your emergency?" The Meldari's expression showed pain. "We encountered an anomaly in the Cygnus void. It attacked without provocation. Our systems are failing and our ship body is dying." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. An anomaly that attacked ships, like the one the Zendari had encountered. "Send them docking instructions for the outer bay," she told Alan. "And get me Diane Rodriguez and Chief Medical Officer Sandra Hill. We're going to need both of them for this one." When the Meldari ship finally docked, Olivia was shocked by what she saw. The enormous vessel was riddled with devastating damage. Strange energy burns carved deep into its living hull, and parts of it seemed to be decaying before her eyes. Meldari Speaker, as they called their captain, met them at the airlock. Up close, the alien was even more unsettling. Standing over 7 feet tall, its body seemed to shift slightly, as if its very form wasn't entirely fixed. "The Unity has been refused help at 17 other facilities," the speaker explained as they walked through corridors that seemed to be made of both metal and living tissue. "Our technology is too integrated with biological systems. No one knows how to approach repairs. Chief Medical Officer Sandra Hill exchanged worried looks with engineering lead Frank Ortiz. This was far beyond anything they'd faced before, a ship that was also a living organism. "The damage is extensive," Sandra said, scanning one of the wounded sections with her medical equipment. "These burns go through multiple layers of both technological components and living tissue." Back in the station's conference room, Olivia called an emergency meeting with her senior staff. "I won't lie to you," she said. "This is the most complex repair challenge we've ever faced. The Meldari ship is unlike anything we've worked on before." Frank Ortiz, who had taken over from Peter Collins when he was reassigned to Earth's new flagship repair station, stood up from his seat. "Permission to try something unconventional, Commander?" "At this point, I'm open to suggestions." "We combine teams," Frank said, his eyes bright with the challenge. "Engineering, medical, botany, even our culinary staff. The Meldari ship isn't just technology or just biology, it's both. So we need to think across disciplines." Diane Rodriguez nodded in agreement. "When we repaired the Zendari ship and the Trilaxian vessels, we discovered that crossing boundaries led to new solutions. This is just taking that approach to the next level. Within hours, the station transformed into a hive of unorthodox activity. Dr. Hill and her medical team worked alongside engineers to create a synthetic nutrient solution that could help regenerate the ship's living components. Chef Paul Baker, from the station's restaurant, collaborated with the xenobiology team to analyze the molecular structure of compounds that might accelerate healing in the ship's organic circuitry. No repair manual existed for this situation. No protocol had been established. Yet the humans worked tirelessly, experimenting, failing, adapting, and trying again. After 3 days of non-stop work, Frank and Sandra presented their findings to the Meldari speaker. "Your ship body has suffered damage we've never seen before," Frank explained. "The energy weapon or phenomenon that attacked you didn't just damage your systems, it began rewriting them at the molecular level." The speaker's black eyes widened. "Rewriting? For what purpose?" Sandra pointed to her data display. "It seems to be changing your organic mechanical systems into something else entirely. Not destroying them, but transforming them." "Like what happened to the Zendari ship?" Olivia murmured. "Similar but more advanced," Diane added. "The Zendari ship was purely mechanical, so the changes were limited. Your ship is already part living organism, which gave the anomaly more to work with." The speaker's translucent skin pulsed with bright veins, a sign of distress in Meldari body language. "Can you stop this transformation?" Frank and Sandra exchanged looks. "We don't think we should," Frank said carefully. "The transformed sections are actually more resilient than your original systems. Whatever this anomaly is, it's not trying to destroy, it's trying to evolve." "We believe we can guide the transformation," Sandra added. "Help it complete in a controlled way that will leave your ship body stronger than before." The speaker was silent for a long moment. "This is not what we expected when we came here. We sought repairs, a return to our previous state." Diane stepped forward. "Sometimes moving forward is better than going back. We humans have learned that lesson many times." After much discussion, the Meldari agreed to the humans' unconventional plan. For the next 2 weeks, teams worked in shifts around the clock, developing a series of treatments that would stabilize the Meldari ship while guiding its transformation into a new form. They created special nutrient baths for the living hull sections. Engineers designed adaptive interfaces that could connect the original Meldari systems with the transformed ones. The botanists developed specialized grafts that could bridge gaps between tissue types. Kyle Bennett, now a senior engineer himself, worked closely with the Meldari's own technical specialists, teaching them to see their ship body in a new way. "You've been fighting against the changes," he explained to a group of Meldari engineers. "But what if you worked with them instead? Your ship body is trying to become something new. Help it." Slowly, the Meldari began to understand the human approach. Instead of rigidly following their ancient traditions, they began to experiment, to adapt, to see possibilities where before they had only seen failure. As the work progressed, news of the unprecedented repair effort spread throughout the sector. Representatives from a dozen species arrived to observe the process, including members of the Galactic Council itself. Captain Vincent Douglas, now serving as the official diplomatic liaison to Delta 7, found himself conducting tours for increasingly high-ranking visitors. "The humans are redefining what we consider possible," he overheard a Vossian council member tell a colleague. "They do not accept limitations that other species take for granted." On the 17th day, the Meldari hive ship Unity disconnected from the repair station. Its hull now shimmered with new patterns, and the energy signature it emitted was unlike anything the station's sensors had recorded before. The speaker contacted Commander Wright one final time before departure. "We came to you broken, seeking to be made whole again," the speaker said. "Instead, you have helped us become something greater. The Unity is no longer merely a ship. It has become a bridge between what we were and what we might become." As the transformed hive ship moved away from the station, all who watched felt a sense of wonder. The humans had not simply repaired a damaged vessel. They had helped birth something new. And in the vast darkness between the stars, in the Cygnus Void and the Carina Nebula, the anomalies waited, reaching out to touch passing ships, seeking connection with beings who might understand their message. Evolution, adaptation, transformation. 5 years passed quickly after the successful transformation of the Meldari hive ship. What had once been orbital repair station Delta 7 had grown into something much greater, humanity's interstellar repair and innovation center. It was now the largest and most diverse repair facility in known space. Ships of all makes, models, and origins orbited the expanded station, waiting their turn for the magic touch of human ingenuity. Admiral Olivia Wright, formerly commander, stood in her new office, gazing out at the spectacular view of Earth below and the bustling repair docks that now extended for kilometers in every direction. Her dark hair had more silver in it now, but her eyes still held the same curiosity and determination that had guided her through the most challenging years of her career. "The Galactic Council's delegation has arrived," her assistant informed her. "They're ready for the ceremony." Olivia nodded, straightening her formal uniform. Today marked a significant milestone, the official recognition of human repair methodology as a protected cultural asset of galactic importance. The Council had determined that humanity's approach to fixing the broken and reimagining the possible was unique among all known species and deserved special status. As she made her way to the main auditorium, she passed dozens of training rooms where alien engineers worked alongside human mentors. The knowledge exchange had become a core part of the center's mission, not just repairing ships but teaching others a way of thinking, a perspective that saw problems as opportunities and limitations as challenges to overcome. Diane Rodriguez was already at the auditorium when Olivia arrived. Now the director of innovative repair technologies, Diane had become something of a legend throughout the galaxy. Her approach to the Zendari ship had started it all, and she had gone on to pioneer many of the hybrid repair techniques now standard at the center. "Ready for your big speech?" Diane asked with a smile. "As ready as I'll ever be," Olivia replied. "I still can't believe how far we've come in 5 years." The auditorium was filled with representatives from over 40 spacefaring civilizations. In the front row sat the highest-ranking members of the Galactic Council, including delegates from the Zendari, Trilaxians, Meldari, and many other species whose ships had been transformed by human hands. The Zendari Grand Admiral approached Olivia before the ceremony began. Unlike the first Zendari she had met years ago, the Grand Admiral seemed entirely comfortable among humans and other aliens. "We have a saying now in our fleet," he told her, his translator struggling to convey the respectful tone. "When faced with an impossible problem, think like a human." Olivia smiled. "We just see things differently." "Indeed," the Grand Admiral agreed. "Your species approaches entropy itself as if it were merely a suggestion rather than a law. You look at the broken and see not the end, but the beginning of something new. We build ships to last. You build ships that can be fixed and often improved when they break." The ceremony itself was simple but meaningful. The High Counselor, a Vossian with gleaming silver scales, presented Olivia with a crystal sphere that contained a holographic record of the Council's proclamation. In recognition of humanity's unique contribution to galactic progress, the High Counselor announced, the Council hereby declares human repair methodology to be a protected cultural asset of the highest importance. All species are encouraged to learn from this approach while acknowledging its origins and special character. After the formal presentations, Olivia found herself speaking with Kyle Bennett, who had gone from apprentice to the head of the center's research division in 19 just a few short years. We've learned so much from studying the anomalies, Kyle told her excitedly. The Meldari hive ship's data was particularly valuable. We now believe these energy beings, or whatever they are, have been trying to communicate with us through our technology. Do we know what they're trying to say? Olivia asked. Kyle shook his head. Not exactly, but we've identified patterns. They seem to be teaching us about adaptation, about merging different systems to create something greater than the sum of its parts. Almost like they're trying to prepare us for something. Olivia was about to ask what that something might be, when an urgent call came through on her communicator. It was from the long-range sensor array at the edge of the solar system. Admiral Wright, the sensor technician's voice was tense. We're detecting multiple anomalies approaching Earth. Their energy signatures match those reported by the Zendari and Meldari ships, but much, much larger. The news spread quickly through the gathered dignitaries. Some reacted with fear, others with excitement. The Meldari speaker, whose transformed hive ship had become a symbol of successful adaptation, stepped forward. Perhaps this is what we have been preparing for, the speaker suggested. The anomalies have been studying us through our ships, learning how we respond, how we adapt. Now they come in person. Within hours, the anomalies arrived. They appeared as vast, swirling patterns of energy that took no solid form, yet somehow communicated a sense of intelligence and purpose. They positioned themselves around Earth and the repair center, not threatening, but observing. After many attempts at communication, a breakthrough came through an unexpected channel. The transformed systems of the ships that had been touched by the anomalies began to resonate with the energy beings, creating a bridge of understanding. They are not here to harm us, Diane reported after analyzing the data. They're here because of what we've shown them. Which is what? Asked the Zendari Grand Admiral. Adaptation, creativity, the ability to see beyond what is to what could be, Diane explained. They are ancient beings who have watched countless species rise and fall. Most follow predictable patterns. They build, they expand, they fight, they die. But humans, she smiled. We fix things. We make them better. We refuse to accept that something cannot be repaired or improved. Through the improvised communication channel, the energy beings shared glimpses of their knowledge, vast libraries of information about the universe and its many wonders. They had been traveling the cosmos for millions of years, seeking species that might become true partners in exploration and discovery. They want to work with us, Kyle said in wonder, to share what they know, and to learn from our perspective. In the months that followed, a new era of galactic cooperation began. The repair center became the focal point for a grand exchange of knowledge and techniques. The anomalies, now known as the resonance, provided insights into energy systems beyond anything previously imagined, while humans taught them about the value of physical form and the creativity that comes from working within limitations. Ships from across the galaxy continued to flock to the human repair stations, but now for more than just fixes. They came to be part of something greater, a joining of different approaches and perspectives that was creating new possibilities for all species. On the 5th anniversary of first contact with the resonance, Admiral Wright stood again at her office window, watching as a fleet of newly designed hybrid vessels prepared for their maiden voyage into unexplored space. The ships combined the best of mechanical engineering with living systems and energy patterns inspired by the resonance. They said we fixed their ships, she murmured to herself. But really, we were fixing their way of thinking. And in deep space, when vessels suffered catastrophic failures or encountered strange new threats, captains would give the same order, regardless of their species. Set course for the human repair stations. No one does it better.